First things first, we gotta have something to plop our ass on. That's just the way it goes. Perfect. Huh. I don't know what you find in buckets, boxes, and stuff like that around here. So, something I've been threatening to do for so long, and that is fall off of this bucket onto the floor and break my ass. So, this anvil, we picked this anvil up for $400 last year. Last fall, actually. It wasn't long after I got back on my feet and everything. And I haven't had the chance to, well, how do I put that? I finally got the welder out here. And I told you guys, once I have the welder out here, we're going to fix this thing up and make it a nice, usable, working anvil. Now, for those of you new to the channel, since we picked this up, this is a 242-pound Peterite anvil, and I did not have to wait to get those numbers. There's actually, in the Peterites, they have numbers that denote how much this thing weighs. So, the first set of numbers is going to be in hundredweights. The second set of numbers is going to be in quarter hundredweights, or I believe it's in British units, so it's 28 pounds. And then the third number is going to be individual pounds. So on this anvil, that works out to be 242 pounds. Now, we have quite the sway back in here. And it's actually pretty pronounced over the sweet spot. It's almost 1/4 of an inch throughout this sweet spot. So what we need to do is, we're going to clean this up with the flat disc on the grinder. I use a flat disc for most all of my grinding needs when I'm not cutting, unless I'm trying to hog out a ton of material. But I like the flat disc because, I mean, you can remove a lot of material real fast with it, but it's a slow enough thing. It leaves a much nicer finish when you're done. But on this particular application, I just want to clean this thing down really well, and it's going to take a little bit. Also on the horn, somebody blunted the point on it. That was done quite a bit. Guys, you know, didn't want to catch their thighs on these things, and you don't blame them, but the pointed horn on the anvil is it's a workable thing, especially when you're doing small scrolls, things like that. Now, the hardy hole is not in terrible shape. There is a little bit of an indent all the way around the outside. I think we might end up leaving that. I'm not 100% certain yet how I want to approach that. The pritchel hole needs a little bit of work. What I'm going to do with that to get it where I want it, I'm going to put a piece of 1/2-inch copper pipe down this, and then we're going to weld around it. And the idea with the copper pipe is it's not going to, that weld won't penetrate that copper. It's pretty neat how that works. So anyway, let me get you a little closer shot in the camera so you guys can see this sway. Now, historical thing about these Peterites, when they made these things new, they always advertised them as brand new wrought iron, no recycled pieces of metal in there, no bits of junk to make up the mass. And what that ended up doing, being as wrought iron is fairly soft, you end up getting a sway back in quite a bit of these, right over the sweet spot where the smith who used them liked to pound the most. And that's usually it's kind of forward of the anvil, still above the waist a little bit. It just seems to be the happy place in every one of these I've seen like this. It's been in the same spot. But this isn't so bad we can't fix it. Now, I'm going to use 7018 AC rod to build this up. What we're going to do is we're going to build up a butter layer. We're going to work in the parameters here. We'll draw a couple lines to start. Every time we're done welding a layer, we're going to beat the hell out of it with a hammer. Now, I found before the 7018 on the railroad track anvil that I made that it work hardens really well and really fast. So that's where we're at. So let's get you guys a close-up, and then we're going to get to cleaning this up. We're not going to do any welding on this thing tonight yet because we have to heat this thing, and I do have an idea to kind of help that along, so stay tuned. Okay, before we get too much farther, let me give you guys a close-up of what we have, how far out we actually are. So right there, we're about 1/8 of an inch. You step back towards the middle, and that goes to almost 1/4. By the time you get to this outside edge, it's a good 1/4 of an inch. Not to mention this edge that's totally busted off here. I think somebody did a lot of cold beating on this anvil, judging by the looks of it. So what we're going to try to do is get this top nice and flat. We're going to do the best we can anyway. Again, we want to point the horn. This guy right here, it's pretty beat up. It's kind of dished out. We're going to try to get that nice and flat. I'm not going to worry about the waist of the anvil too much. My main concern is getting this top so it's a good working, just a good working anvil. Now, keep in mind, this is wrought iron. I'm not expecting weld to stick to this much. We're going to rely on the tool steel top to take all the weld on the sides here, but we're going to clean the hell out of it and see what happens. Okay, so we've done a good bit of grinding tonight on this thing, and I'm sorry this is mostly a grinding video, but unfortunately this is a necessary evil to what I want to do to this poor anvil. You know, it's really not in bad shape. It's really not that bad. This edge is really the worst part right here. That edge is driving me nuts every time I look at it. And they chipped that thing off deep. I mean, really deep. And if you look at the hammer marks all through this, and then you see they did a lot of beating on this thing cold. I'm surprised that they didn't, I'm surprised that whomever owned it didn't shatter this top the way it looks like they were using it. I could see the ends of shaft marks. I know the old gentleman that I bought it from, he's in his 90s. This thing's been in his electric motor shop for who knows how many years. And what he told me he used to do with it, he used it to do things like beat bearings off of shafts and things like that. And there's marks from that all over this thing. So what we have to do, we're going to have to take the grinder and clean out all these little divots. Because when I go to weld this thing, I don't want any rust or anything like that. It would probably be fine. It would probably attach just fine, but I don't see, if I'm going to go to all the work of what I'm doing on this, I don't see the point in not fixing that stuff, getting it in here. Now here's an odd line that goes across, straight across here, worn right in. Who knows what they used that for, but it looks like they did it often. I mean, if you look at the top of this thing, it looks like it looks like mini dunes across there. I don't know how to describe it. It's real wavy, and it's just a lifetime of having the shit beat out of it. So what we're going to do, because I have to preheat this before I can do any welding on it, what I'm going to do, I have a magnetic heater. It's just a, what's the wattage on this? I think it's only like 200 watts. 200 watt heater. We're going to stick it on there for the night, see what develops. I don't know if this is the greatest idea in the world. I'll probably check it when I'm done editing, make sure nothing's getting too hot. But I know these things take quite a while to heat anything up. But we've got to get this thing quite warm. So that's where we're at. That's what we're doing. Got a little cleanup done tonight. We opened up the video with. Finally got that little bench out of here, and I tell you what, it opened this place right up. Now that nice workbench I built over there, now I'm going to have to go through and clean that thing up. Probably get some more shelves in here up high. Get some of that junk and garbage cleaned off of there and try to get back organized in here. Now this shop, to be honest with you, for what I plan on doing, this room is probably where we are going to spend the majority of our time. For the wood shop, I still have to get the lathe out of the pit of despair. I have a big radial arm saw I've got to get out of there. You guys wouldn't believe how much you could fit inside a 16 by 24 shop. It is unreal how much you can stuff in there. I'm finding things all the time. It doesn't even look like I've made a dent. But what we're doing with that shop is my son is going to take that over as his little shop. He's 12 years old, so he's going to get that building to himself. Over the winter, we're going to work on cleaning it out, things like that. I'm going to pull the wood stove out of there because I'm not comfortable with the idea of him working out there running a wood fire. No, but we're going to have to figure out some kind of heat for him out there. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it. This is what our week's going to consist of. Who knows how long this is going to take, but this is one of those projects. When I get this done, I can get to work on what I plan on doing in here. This is the last big thing I really needed to do to get going on it. And now we can start learning a little more once this is done, refining what we're doing a little bit better. Hopefully I can get this thing really nice and level. I'm really hoping, but we'll do the best we can. So take it easy, guys, and I'll see you on the next one.